Welcome everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you can see me and hear me all right. If not, just let me know also on the chat. Welcome to this webinar that's called Students and Young Professionals Side by Side, Experiences and Ambitions. This webinar is a joint effort between two non-profit associations that are Mondo Internazionale and the Venice Diplomatic Society. My name is Miriam, and I'm not one of the students or young professionals. I'm merely gonna present to you the two associations and introduce the speakers. Then they're gonna handle the interviews, and this will be just a friendly conversation to learn something more about how these two categories of people, students and young professionals, are handling the entering the job market and acquiring new skills, let's say. So just to briefly introduce them to you in case you don't know one of us. First of all, Mondo Internazionale is a non-profit association that was founded in 2017 with the aim of fostering the positive impact of young generations in the world. The activities of the organization started with the creation of an international digital platform where young people were able to share ideas, but also create projects to address national or international issues, and of course put their capabilities into action to make a difference in today's society. In the last 3 years, Mondo Internazionale has rapidly grown thanks to a disruptive organizational model, which can operate online, and that allows it to support young students and also professionals, not only in their actions for good, but also in developing hard and soft skills that they can then apply when they want to pursue a career, but also to bring their personal projects to life. To this date, Mondo Internazionale counts more than 130 active members, and it has established a wide youth network by sharing its model and aim with other countries, specifically in Africa, where the association has opened 3 operative headquarters located in Nigeria, Cameroon, and in the Ivory Coast. On the other hand, we have the Venice Diplomatic Society, which is also a non-profit organization that was founded in 2015 by a group of students attending comparative international relations at Ca' Foscari University of Venice. The association was later on recognized by the university as a student association. VDS, as we call it, was born out of a will to prepare university students for political simulations, specifically Model UNs, so Model United Nations, and Model EUs, Model European Union. And these efforts then later on culminated into the organization of bigger simulations for students that attend their university in Venice that now count more than 100 participants. VDS activities did not stop there and expanded to include many more formats, and were always around topics regarding international cooperation, human rights, sustainability, and so on. With Oxford-style debates, conferences, articles, and other projects also targeted to younger students, the aim was always that of enabling its members to improve their skills and also to allow them to learn how to make a difference. That is the motto of the association, and that is also the goal that is shared with the Mondo Internazionale 100%, which is why I think this collaboration is particularly fitting. So coming back to the title of the webinar, we have students that are Ludovico and Arianna, and the young professionals, Pietro and Antonia. And I'm just gonna ask you to present yourself now, and then of course go on with the questions. Ludovico and Arianna already have some prepared for you.
Antonia, please.
Okay, great. I'll go first then. My name is Antonia. I'm 24 years old. I am part of VDS. I joined the organization 4 years ago as I was a student of Ca' Foscari University. I did my bachelor's degree in politics, philosophy, and economics. And throughout my 3 years there, I've done academic experience and professional experiences all over the world, in Brazil, in South Korea, in Germany, and the US. And after graduation, I've started doing my master's degree in international migration and public policy at the London School of Economics. And currently I am a social media manager for 2 small companies in Portugal, where I'm currently based in. And I am also real estate agent for the Italian market in Portugal, but I also deal with the German and the British one. So thank you very much for inviting me here today. Please.
Awesome. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're connecting from. First of all, thank you, Madam President, for giving a short outline of what Mondo Internazionale and VDS do. It's so heartful and meaningful to hear there are so many peers socially engaged and working on developing their careers for the benefit of the others mainly. So thank you to both the organizations for having me over, and mainly thank you to all of the participants that are following us. I know how annoying can be to be at an extra and a new webinar, but this is the way life is going to look like for our future. So fortunately, we are all safe and sound and coping with that. And let me also say that probably without this modality, this feature of digital connection, we would not probably got the chance otherwise to exchange this afternoon. My name is Pietro. I'm not going to talk about my academic background because I'm still currently a graduating student at the School of Law of Alma Mater Studiorum, University of Bologna. I've started working when I was very, very young, even before I turned 18. I started in the television sector first, and then I moved on to the private sector from behind the scene, working for a variety of major brands, addressing mainly very, very young people. And then at some point, I got a little bit, let's say, unsatisfied with the profit world, and I decided to embark into the amazing experience of social young entrepreneurship, and with a group of amazing young leaders from different countries, we did establish EduActive, which is a social enterprise working with high schoolers and spreading the culture of multilateralism on one side, sustainability on the other, and trying to tackle the social issues we do have in Italy. The first is the late access of young students and young people to the labor market compared to other European and extra-European countries. And on the other side, the internationalizations of their, let's say, personal development and growth path. So these are the two main matters I'm focusing on. Last year, I got the privilege to represent 50 million Italian people by appointment of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and by management of SIOI, the Italian Society for the International Organization, as official youth delegate of Italy to the United Nations, meaning I served for a year with diplomatic status, bringing the instances and the causes of Italian young people or people living in Italy to international fora, not just the UN General Assembly, but also the Commission for Social Development and other multilateral situations and events, not just delivering statements and having cocktails as diplomacy people think is off, but also negotiating in full national capacity and advocating once back into the country and trying to have this double-sided conversations with my peers.
Thanks a lot. And Ludovico, Arianna, if you also want to briefly present yourself, and then feel free to go on with the questions for Antonia and Pietro so we can officially start.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Ludovico Campagnolo. I am currently a third year student at the Ca' Foscari University of Venice. I'm graduating in philosophy, international and economic studies. Yeah, I just recently joined VDS, the Venice Diplomatic Society, as I really became interested in international relations and international political economy during the last year, as I studied at KCL, King's College London, during my Erasmus year. And yeah, this is just my first activity with VDS, but I hope there will be many more, actually. So yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you.
And Arianna?
Yes. So, hello everyone. I'm Arianna, and I recently joined Mondo Internazionale as a translator of the project Mind Nutrition Deal. I'm 23 years old, and I'm currently studying foreign languages and literature at the University of Messina, focusing mainly on Russian and English languages. I'm highly interested in the diplomatic field. In fact, in 2016, I had the great opportunity to be part of the Mondo United Nations, where I represented the delegation of Saudi Arabia. I was an ambassador of the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. It was one of the best experiences of my life. And since then, I started dreaming about being a diplomatic, or at least work in the diplomatic world.
I love Model UNs as well, so I totally understand your enthusiasm. And do you want to go on with the questions, Arianna, as well? So I think you have a question for Pietro, I believe, and then you can alternate themselves if you want to, if it's convenient.
Okay, so among all your experiences, which one would you recommend to someone who has just started moving the first step into what seems to be such a hard path? There's any experience would you repeat?
Yeah, thank you very much, Arianna. That is a quite tough question, because I would probably repeat every single experience I had. I truly have no regrets. And let me also add, I'm a huge Muner myself as well, and I did several conferences worldwide, and then I moved on from the UN Model UN Secretariat to the real experience, which definitely I would say all of the students' organizations activities are absolutely crucial to support the development of your career. But I will answer in a bit more vague way, meaning that I'm thankful all along my training experience to the interactions I had with the institutions. Sometimes students feel quite far from institutions, and when I mean that, I intend the local institutions, the local administrations in any country you're living at, but also closer institutions to you. And the university, for many of you, does represent the institution itself. Might it be public or private, doesn't really matter. And all the way down to your ambitions and aspirations, the supranational, international organizations of any kind. Let me recall what Secretary General of the UN told in our meeting during GA. He said, you guys need absolutely to shape the institutions. And that is something that belongs to my background since when I was a teenager, and I would travel around the world on a vacation with my family or friends. I would absolutely every single time in a capital city stop at an embassy, at an Italian embassy, just knocking at the door and saying, hey, I'm a citizen of this country. I want to know more about what you do. What is the bilateral relations with this country? You guys, meaning diplomats, are at the service of my community. So that is that kind of proactive attitude toward your interest is absolutely something I would recommend, which goes far beyond your field of studies, far beyond the traditional path you are socially supposed to follow. And on the other side, as a complement, since you properly asked for specific experiences, I would like to truly support the huge opportunities we as young generations have provided in the field of youth work. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the concept of youth work and non-formal education, but there's a whole world mainly provided and put forward by the European Union on one side and the Council of Europe on the other side. They're fully founded experiences of international mobility, of professional training, of motivational training, and emotional training as well. I did take several of them around Europe. All of those, once again, it's not a matter of being able to afford that kind of experiences in traveling. There are very simple selections, and we as Italians are among the 28, 27 member states of the EU, those that take these opportunities the less. So you get the chance to spend up to a month with the EVS, for instance, European Voluntary Service, up to 6 months, abroad serving for another non-for-profit or third sector organizations. You foster your skills, you actually get a touch of real life worldwide, which is absolutely priceless.
Okay, so can I ask one question to Antonia? Okay. Yeah. So this is for Antonia. Yeah. I wanted to ask you that since firms are increasingly shifting from traditional businesses with physical locations for offices and points of sale to a digital environment. Yeah. Which are the most relevant skills that the firms require during such this digital transition?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your question, Ludovico. Well, surprisingly, they don't really ask for very specific skills, but they ask for the most common and general skills that each of us more or less can have throughout our academic experience. And these are, you know, the knowledge of how to use the Office package. They would like you to know how to use Adobe or the most common softwares that you might have. Of course, you need to know like social media, how to use them, and but also to know how the features that they have, right? And to know how to utilize them in a working environment. For example, most of the firms that I worked for, they would already ask from you to know how to plan meetings or how to do it through different apps. And this is something that not everyone knows at the beginning, because sometimes they just ask you to do it right away. And if you're not familiar with a certain platform, which can be a Google online thing, or they can ask you for Zoom. I've had already so many experience when people really didn't know how to use it or how to create a link, or also how to syndicate your content for different platforms. These are all very, very basic skills that someone should have for this transition. And it's really what they're really asking for. In some cases, they might ask for like more complicated software knowledge, but that's like more specific, as in, if you can code, then that's really good for you, but they won't ask for programming or coding if you don't really know that. So again, what they ask from you is to have a solid knowledge of the most common platforms and softwares that are out there.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Arianna, did you have more questions?
Yes, I have. Pietro, consider what you have become today. Which is the best advice you should give to yourselves at the beginning of your path? What would that be?
All right. Once again, thank you for such a tough question. And please, Madam Moderator, feel free to interrupt me whenever I exceed the allocated time. It's very hard to me to give the younger myself pieces of advices, because I'm very bad at giving pieces of advices to myself and to the others. So what I would probably reinforce and strengthen is, once again, try to go beyond the traditional flow and career and training path that is expected to me. Okay, so doing my best to think outside of the box, to follow my not just my passions, because it sounds a little bit rhetoric, but to do my best to basically nurture 2 points. The first is soft skills. We have heard probably soft skills said 4, 5, 6 times in this past few minutes, but what are really those soft skills, and how a university student can actually acquire those? One probably socially accepted and traditional way is enroll yourself in a course on soft skills. Which sounds a little bit weird to me, because as soft skills, not traditional skills, hard skills, it's not that easy to properly acquire them through a course. So what I would probably do, and what I actually did, I started working late at night in ice cream places for a while, and then I climbed up that hierarchy, becoming personal assistant of the executive, the owner of the entire company. So there's, looking back, there's a variety of experiences I had that taught me so much. And when I talk to international relations students, mainly, about my experience at the UN, at the Foreign Affairs, I'm always surrounded by people that aim very, very high. And that is lovely. And that is absolutely the right thing to do. But once you aim high and you have no middle ground, and you're not capable to look at reality. And I always bring a few examples. And one of that is the fact that learning, for instance, how to professionally reply to an email, how to convince your professor to do something in favor of your community, for instance, is no much difference of convincing the honorable delegate of a foreign country to change a specific word or a paragraph in a resolution you're negotiating at in national capacity. And I'm not trying to downgrading the work of diplomacy, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that in building your own experience, doing something that you might consider very useless because it's not maybe as prestigious as it is to work in the sparkling and shining world of international either cooperation or relations is absolutely crucial. So do not give up to job experiences that might not be looking that fancy or not be supporting as much as you're expecting your development. because once you have been negotiating, for instance, a loan in a bank for a very small enterprise of your little tiny village in the countryside you're living in, believe me, that is going to be as relevant and maybe sometimes even more relevant than a super exciting internship given by a very prestigious organization located, and I don't know, in Midtown, East Side Manhattan. So experience at any level is absolutely the first thing I would probably even focus more on. And the second, and I'm about to conclude, is probably, and that is something I would suggest myself to my younger myself, is nurturing your network. That is something we most of times try to forget. And especially at the European level, the university system can be very competitive, you know, has this unwritten rule of mors tua vita mea among students. You know, wherever you fail, I succeed, and vice versa. And that is something very, very much wrong. Nurturing your network, doing so in a positive way, first among your peers. Be kind, be nice, support the others, because that is what is going to be required to you in any professional team network. Doesn't really matter for the organizational structure of the network, of the company or public institutions you'll be employed for. And second, not only you know, among your peers, but expand your network with and through an intergenerational perspective, which is something very pivotal as well. Get rid of this social cover of we young people. As we are young, we cannot do anything. We cannot perform critical thinker because we are not skilled enough, we are not experienced enough. Get rid of this social pressure, this aura that you know is around us, and go for it. I mean, absolutely, try to get connected, give feedback to speakers at conferences. I hope to receive feedback via email, via my social media channels, because that is exactly what engagement is. And that is exactly what is going to bring our generations to the next level. And keep in mind, people, we are, you know, in this regard, I want to stress out that we always hear the narrative about young people being the future. We are not the future. We are the present as much as we are the future. So experience and network.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm taking notes myself, even just by acting like moderator. So that was very, very sound advice. But don't worry, we're not running out of time. So I'll prompt you to go along with the questions, Ludovico.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was impressive. Yeah, but nevertheless, yeah, for Antonia, Generation Z, so our generation, is commonly regarded as the one with the most generalized digital skills. And yet, have you ever been in a situation where your digital skills were lackluster? And do you think that in reality, the skills so common among Zoomers are actually insufficient?
Antonia, we can't hear you, I think. The microphone.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
I didn't want to be
No worries.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much for your question, Ludovico. I was saying that I was thinking a lot about this question, and I was going through my personal experience and that of my colleagues. And what I have noticed is that I do not think that we lack the skills. As you said, these skills are so common to our generation. But I think that what makes the difference is whether you know how to use your skills in a professional and strategic way, right? So at times I felt like I was lacking some skills, but it wasn't really because I didn't know that. It was just because I didn't know how to use all the features, for example, of the different platforms that we have at hand. And as these kind of platforms, they have updates, new features coming in. I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but almost, because if you link all of them, you get new stuff basically every day. And you need to learn each one of them, right? But another thing that I think people should know is how to use a certain platform for a certain objective, right? In my experience, I have seen many people who use LinkedIn, which is an extremely professional and networking platform, as Facebook or Instagram. And then I felt that it was totally like unnecessary. And yeah, at a certain point I was like, what is going on here, right? And I think like I am not the only one who experienced this, right? So I think what should know, the people in our generation, what they should bear in mind is to know which platform they're using for which purpose, and to keep up to date about the new features that that the platform keeps pushing you in, and learn how to use them in a very professional and strategic way for your objective. This is my advice for it.
I can definitely relate, I did not know how or why I should use LinkedIn. And for a long time, I completely disregarded it as a platform. Even though I was prompted to use it at the beginning of university, I delayed subscribing to LinkedIn and all that.
I felt like it was so important for me when I first started to look, not really for jobs, many people like use it for jobs. You can use it for jobs, of course, but it's really, really important in order to link with some people that are within certain organizations that you're interested in, right? So you can link with them, and you can start a conversation with them. And most of the times those people are willing to share their experience with you, and they're always happy, to say, hey, yeah, I did this and that. Of course, I'm very interested in what you're doing, especially if you have like a similar path, or maybe if you come from a same university, from a certain field, academic field. So I really, really push you to use it.
Yeah, and if I might add and compliment, and of course, I fully support every single word my co-panelist has just shared. Moving on to another social media platform, Twitter, we are facing the phenomenon of Twitter diplomacy nowadays. Not just by the tweets by President Trump, but really in the diplomatic world, Twitter is used on a daily basis to deliver statements that are acquiring sometimes even more relevance than official statements by member states.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Totally. Do you want to, guys, Arianna, Ludovico, go on with the last round of questions for our guests?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I can ask it straight away. So recently, many online platforms, including Google, for instance, are offering courses that can, at least allegedly, prepare a professional and are much cheaper and shorter than university degrees. Do you think that these online training programs could actually replace traditional degrees or not?
I would say instinctively, I would say no, but let's elaborate a little bit your question, right? So I believe that there are like two, I would separate two fields of people. Then we have one group where it are people that have already been at university. And then I would say those that are still very young, still in high school, etc. I would say that for me, as a young professional, for other people in my same situations, or for people that are already in their advanced career, these kind of courses would be extremely advantageous for them. For example, as a young professional, a person would, after the university years that they have done and the specialization that they have done, I would say that this is a chance for them to either get another specialization, which is to complement what they already have in order to make themselves more marketable in the job market. Or it could be a way to get deeper knowledge within your own field, right? So in this sense, this would save time and money for a lot of people that, you know, would like to take advantage from an accredited online platform, in this case, Google. For other platforms, I am personally a bit skeptical because these online courses that are becoming more important and relevant, you don't really know, you don't always know where they come from, right? So it's a bit tricky at times to say, oh, which one I should take, this one is cheaper, but I don't know where it comes from, or this is another one, oh, this is like, I know it, I'm going to go for that one. And there are like so many that you can choose from. So I would say that like for the most famous ones, it is definitely an advantage, and they can be real competitors for universities. On the other hand, if we think about high schoolers that just finished high school, right, and they're looking for the university experience, I would say that this is definitely not the solution. And this is because these courses are very short, compared to a bachelor degree. I believe that a person that comes out of high school needs time and experience in order to assimilate all the knowledge that that can be delivered at university. Doing a shorter degree, a shorter course, whatever you want to call it, they can get you certain knowledge which are very, I would say, very consistent. It will get you all the most important knowledge that you should know. But then there are like many, you might lose either the big picture or the specific knowledge, right? And secondly, another reason why I think they cannot be compared to traditional university is because, you know, when you're a high schooler, what you're looking for is, you know, to get out of your common zone, of your comfort zone, get out of your, you know, environment and discover a new world. You don't need to go abroad, you know, to study in a big university or in a really, really big city. But even getting out of your small village and going to a local university in a closer town, in Italy, for example, you already have like people coming from all over Italy that are going there to study a certain subject. And there is that kind of like, you know, the exchange of ideas, experiences and culture as well. That is what makes the difference when a person goes to university and studies, because that is what, in my opinion, also shapes your persona, right? Going back to the question, I believe that for high schooler, it would be a big disadvantage because it will miss a very, very crucial, important experience to shape themselves. But for people that have already been for university or for other experienced professional, it's a big advantage. They can really take advantage of it and make themselves more marketable. Just a quick note, I remember when I was at Foscari, I had two classmates and they were more or less 40 years old and 50 years old, and they were doing the pizza. And, you know, they were like workers, but they were also trying to go to university all the time to get their degree, etc. And, you know, it can be very hard, especially if you have a family and the work, right? Again, in this case, I really think it's an advantage, but again, it depends for the person. It's subjective.
I'll now come and ask Antonia and Pietro if you have some questions that you want to ask Ludovico and Arianna to, of course, kind of challenge them, seeing what you have already seen, what they're kind of interested in with the question that they got to you. But if you have comments or suggestions for them, I'd say go ahead.
Yeah. Is it my turn this time? Awesome. Great, great. Let me just give a short note on the last question Ludovico asked Antonia. I'd love to hear for the first time Zoomers as a word. I was stopped at Muners or other. I will definitely steal that from you to indicate our future generations. So Arianna, I mentioned during my introduction at the beginning the matter of sustainability. It is something that is very close to my heart, and that is something that is a little bit overused, and let me also say abused somehow, you know. And you know, sustainability can be shaped into environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, but also social sustainability, which is something we tend to forget as a small community, as a family, as a group of friends, students, young professionals, and so on and so forth. So my question to you is that, given that being socially engaged in a broad sense is absolutely a drive for change, according to your experience as a student, as an outside of town students, as a part of different organizations, in which situation did you actually feel part of something, part of the community, as a contributor, but also somehow benefiting from that community? And what would you, let me also recommend maybe your peers to feel in the same situation?
Okay, so speaking about my dream job, youth is a part and parcel of my career path, because of course children, kids, and also young adults like me and you, we are the future, and as you said, the present. So speaking about socially engaged, I think that being part of a community is the first step to make the world in a way a better place. Well, my point is, according to my own experience, I am part of an association, a social cultural association of my town, which is called Villa Franca Giovane. This is an association that cares a lot about not just children, kids, because such association follows them step by step, but it also provides promotion and, of course, the development of the territory at an international level. Thanks to the Youth in Action program, we have the great opportunity to be engaged to people from all over the world. Students like us come here and we discuss about almost everything, especially we have a first glance of the democratic and political life. So this is an international project which involves people from all over the world, which helps us as well as them, having a different point of view. So this is very important, and I think that this is also the best way to open not just our mind but our heart to other people. So we need a world where there's no longer place for fear or hate. We need a world where people feel themselves safe, confident, of course free to express their own point of view. And I think that this project is very important in this way.
Thank you very much.
I totally agree as well. Antonia, do you also have any questions for them?
Of course. I was actually interested in a personal experience of Ludovico. So he's a Piezer. I was a Piezer as well. And as a Piezer, we usually have the great opportunity to go to the King's College London in London. And this is like an opportunity that just like the best students can get. So congratulations to you, Ludovico. So I know that you've been there. You started your experience there, and then all of a sudden the COVID came out and you were all a bit shaken by it. So I'd like to ask you how you experienced this transition, let's say, from traditional to digital, right?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Also because this is really a chance to talk about how the digital transition happens within university, within academic institutions. So I really felt like King's College London was actively trying to support the students, not just me. Because first of all, it immediately switched from the physical lectures and seminars to the online ones. It actually used Microsoft Teams, not Zoom or anything. And yeah, the very interesting thing is that lectures were already recorded. You could actually watch them online even before the pandemic. And the fact that the university tried to minimize the disruption for students as well as the staff shows that somehow it had the means to tackle the pandemic in a very decent way, let's say. And yeah, I think that it is like the gap, yeah, let's say that the gap between those institutions that really tried to put their efforts into adapting quickly to the pandemic and those who did not is the more or less, yeah, let's say the contemporary gap between global and even to a certain extent wealthy, rich institutions and yeah, those who had to struggle a bit more. And yeah, this is also a common thing within the Italian university system, which unfortunately is very, very underfunded, let's say. It does lack many tools. And just recently came to have recorded lectures and a proper way to book your place, etc., etc.
Yeah, I have to say, I agree that it's an unbelievable advantage now that you have recorded lessons. I don't know whether Pietro and Arianna, also your universities are like doing a double modalità duale courses now.
Blended learning.
Yeah, blended learning. Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the points that have been made by you guys, but I think that it's very personal, meaning that I do understand the advantages of connecting. I'm questioning and I'm currently researching with the governance of my university as well on the topic, on the quality of the training and how can that be actually affected mainly on a medium long term rather than facing the emergency situation. So maybe Miriam, may I follow up on that and ask a question to Arianna, since Ludovico actually
go ahead.
Introduced the topic thanks to Antonia's question. We lived in the higher education system, not just the university, but in a broader way, higher education system. And I'm very, very privileged to closely work from the research side and management side to the sustainability contribution the University of Bologna is actually working on. But sometimes I feel there's this kind of disconnection between students and the management of the university, especially in such big university as mine. We're talking about almost 100,000 students. Everyone minds its own businesses, own career path, and there's no, real contribution to the closest systems you have, So Arianna, the question to you is simple. If you could actually change something, and of course, I'm not talking about professors, I'm not talking about, something very specific, but more generally. And the question is to you, but it's also to all the people that are following and will follow our conversation later on. Ask yourself, what would you change? And once you identify that, please do so, or at least try.
Okay, so thanks for the question. That's a tough one. Well, according to my experience, first of all, it's very hard to find just one thing to change. Personally, I can say that I feel lost because I'm well aware of what I want to be in the future, of course, but I don't know how to reach my goal because I feel like the current higher educational system, university system, of course, it's like not human as it could be. I mean, in front of the education system, you're all the same, nothing less, nothing more. It doesn't give you enough value, it doesn't give you the right opportunities, doesn't follow you, it doesn't help you in reaching your goals, or at least doesn't help you finding your way. So I feel lost in this sense. And I think so that if there's just one thing that I could change is the entire system. Because, yeah, I know, because it should more focus on student rather than grade. It should lead the students finding their way, I think. But of course, this is just my personal experience. I don't know about you.
No disclaimer needed. Absolutely.
Well, it's definitely an interesting outlook, and I agree with you also on some points, particularly on the fact that we are sometimes, that university is very capable of educating, but not of, let's say, directing students towards the right path sometimes. Of course, it depends also on what paths you want to pursue, because some degrees as well. Yeah, some degrees then are professionalizing, but seeing what we've all studied, I'd say we did not go straight for the most conventional degree, let's say. Since we're almost, yeah, go ahead, Antonia, sorry.
If we don't have enough time, I'll talk like personally, just like a suggestion.
No, well, I wanted to ask you if the participants have any questions. If so, if you want to submit them in the chat, feel free. And meanwhile, Antonia, you can, of course, comment.
I just like wanted to say to Arianna that I know that sometimes university do not give you the, you feel like this university do not give you the support that you would need, especially in our field of studies. I know that it can be very, very hard and difficult. My suggestion to this is to be insanely proactive and to reach out for help to everyone, like your lecturers, the TA, people on LinkedIn. This has been like my, how do you say that in English? Salvation? Is that how you say it? Yeah, good. I really had the opportunity to talk to big people, like important people in the field. And they're willing to help you, you know, they're willing to tell you their own experience and what they think, given their experience, you know, what you could do. Some of them might even give you an opportunity, you know, but for me, what you should do is really reach out for help to everyone, to all the people that you meet, and do some research as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I fully second what Antonia just said, and if I might compliment, also not necessarily stick to the idea you have of your ideal path, meaning that, you know, turns and turning points in life and surprises are amazing, and sometimes you underestimate opportunities because you know, we live on the idea of previous generations, which are not our generations anymore, of studying in a specific given sector and then working, or as an outcome, the you know, having the professional role you have expected years earlier. Now, so many jobs are popping up, meaning new kinds of jobs, not job spots, are popping up. When I started my university career, I never thought I would be so interested and involved in the field of sustainability, of crossing sectors. So just take opportunities, and you know, the labor market nowadays is not static anymore. It's very dynamic, it's very liquid and fluid, and on one side that is a huge struggle, as you just pointed out, you know, to find your own way as you expect it to be. On the other side, you know, trying to see the full half glass. The idea is that we can still be very much amazed by opportunities popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Antonia, I think it's a wonderful example of that kind of situation, of merging different experiences in another country, and you know, being proactive in daily life, and,
Mm-hmm.
and being happy with that, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you.
As I say, we have no questions. If you have a couple more minutes, I'd like to follow up on what Pietro you just said, because of course things don't necessarily go as planned ever, or just sometimes. And do you have, all of you actually, any anecdotes for us of, let's say, a plan A that didn't go well, and what became of plan B, plan C was actually better, or what you got out of, let's say, the backup plan? Does anyone?
Yeah, I don't know, Ludovico, we might want to hear from you.
I was actually thinking about like not the academic experience, but let's say the personal experience of managing to let's say cope with the personal impact of having to get away from London and returning home at the height of the pandemic, because I returned home in late March, and it was very displeasing, let's say. It was a catastrophic time, to say the least, for Italy at least. Yeah, so at the time I was making new friends from the people that were starting their study abroad experience in January. And I was going, for instance, I had planned to go to seminars with them, conferences, and attend think tanks, meetings, etc. And actually, yeah, we at first tried to remain contained to London. For instance, not go abroad, or not going to other areas of England or the UK in general. And then it became really sad watching each of them dropping any sorts of idea of plans, anything about studying together, about going to museums, anything really. It was upsetting for me, and to say the least. And yeah, in the end, I really had to drop every proposal, everything, and then just return home, stay there for 3 months, etc.
Yeah, it must have been very upsetting. I can understand.
Yeah,
but that wonderful opportunity, and then in the middle of it, you just get.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Right. But you'll get better chances in the future. Yeah, it's true. You'll have plenty of other chances in the future, and they will be very much amazing, even better. So.
Yeah, I really do look forward for them then. Thanks.
Good. So I'd say we exceeded our allotted time. Unless you specifically have any questions, I'd say we can end the webinar here.